In this tutorial, I'm just going to show you some of the basic things of Blender to get you started out. Because when you open Blender and you see all these buttons down here, it's kind of depressing and it's really hard to figure out on your own, so that's why I'm making these tutorials. So let's get started. When you open Blender, you see our default cube here. Right now it doesn't look like a cube because we're in top view. To get out of top view, just hold down your middle mouse button and move your mouse, or you can hold down Alt and click and drag. To get back into top view, you can press 7 on the numpad, or you can go to View, Top. Right now we want to be in front view, so hit 1 on the numpad, or again, go to the menu, View, and then Front. This is our camera here. Camera view is 0 on the numpad, and everything in this box right here is going to get rendered. Rendering means that it just takes a picture of this and then it adds all your materials and textures and everything to make it look more real instead of this just gray. Right now we're in object mode, and that's in object mode you add objects, and then in edit mode you deform the objects into the shape that you want it. So let's go to edit mode first, and we have our cube here. First of all, to deselect everything, hit A, and then again you can select everything by hitting A again. To select one of these little things, which is called a vertex, you just right click, and then you can move it with that. You can move it with G. G is move, and then if we select all, R is rotate, and then you can rotate on the X-axis by pressing X, and that's that line there. The Y-axis by pressing Y, or the Z-axis by pressing Z. Alright, and then you can also select down here with these buttons, lines, and you can move them around, or faces. Let's just sort of deform this a little bit. Shift and right click to select more than one, or hit B and then drag it around it. And then we can move it out. Now let's do something that is really useful once you start to learn Blender, which is extrude. Hit E, click region, extrude. We can rotate it with R on the X-axis, then extrude again, region, S for size, that's another one, and then rotate it on the X-axis again. So we have this sort of weird looking thing here that we made, and just by the edit mode. And you can, instead of selecting all four, you could extrude that and make it as smaller, maybe. And then if you extrude escape and then size, and then you can move it down. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with a lot of things in Blender. That's why it's so confusing. Let's go to object mode now, and I'm going to show you the shading tab, which is right here, the little sphere. Let's make this red. To do that, you just go down here, red, green, blue, move the slider in red all the way up, the green slider and blue sliders all the way down, or you can click on the color right here and select it there. So now we have this red shape, and now I'm going to show you some of the object mode things. So in object mode, we can hit A to deselect that. If you click here, this thing is where the new objects will start, and same thing in edit mode. If you add something in edit mode, it will start there. And you don't want to add a new object in edit mode, because then you can't deform the mesh separately. So basically, I'll show you what I mean here. If we go into edit mode and we deselect that, and then we add by clicking space, you get this menu up, and then you go to add, and then let's say plane. We have this plane here, and then if we want to go to an edit mode and move just the plane around, we can't do it because we made the plane in edit mode. So we have to go back into edit mode and move it here, and then if it wasn't selected, you would have to select it. So don't add new things in edit mode, you add a new object in object mode. So now let's add mesh. Remember, clicking space gets that menu open. UV sphere. The default settings are okay. Alright, now we have the sphere here, and it's completely independent of this thing here. If we were to go into edit mode right now, we couldn't select the sphere, we could only select this object. So let's select our sphere. Now I'm going to show you something else that's pretty useful, which is down here in the edit buttons, set smooth. That'll just smooth your sphere out so it doesn't have all those planes. Let's go again and deform this in object mode by clicking A, B, let's get our vertices, B, and then select some of these, extrude, just an overview, make it smaller, extrude again, make it bigger, and then we can go into object mode and we can make this blue. So we have our blue shape here and then our red shape, and you can rotate this red shape towards the camera by clicking R and then Z, and then you can see how it looks from the camera view. Now you can't see the whole thing in camera view, so let's hit G and Z to move it up, and then G, X to move it over. So now we can see the whole thing. Inside this outside dotted line is what you can see. But this lamp makes it not easy to see from camera view because it's on the wrong side. So just drag your lamp over so that it sheds light on the camera view side. Alright, now let's go to in shading, this world buttons here, and let's set the background color as black. So just move all the sliders down. This is just going to be in the background instead of this gray in the grid here. It's just going to be black because we just set it there. If you use what it is default, it would be a blue color, sort of like this. To see how it's going to look when it's rendered, press F12. So we have our thing here, but even though we can see it, it's not saved. So if we want to save it as a file, we go into this tree where I just clicked here, and then we'll set the frames, because this is an animation program, there's frames, and default says it ends at 250. Just drag that down, click and drag over to 1, and then make sure this is on JPEG. It should be automatically, and then you just animate. And we see the same thing we had before, but this time it's saved in a file. And to save this, before we get out of it, save it. And then to get back to that picture that we just rendered, you go to my computer, which is going very slow, local disk C, that's your whole computer, TMP, that's where all your Blender files will be stored. Then you just scroll down, find it, and you have your final render right here. It's saved, and that's about it.